Tank kind of sucks, as a lot of people's general consensus on the role. It's known as the unfun role, the role you don't want to play, the role that gets blamed the most, all this, and the classic rock, paper, scissors argument of just counterwatch, of people swapping all the time, and your character being countered by 50 million things. And there is some real truth in how it's in some of these complaints. You see it come up time and time again from all ranks, all players, all heroes. It's one of the most important roles in the entire game, and so it has such a heavy weight of pressure put on it, and so they get blamed all the time. It can feel like you're doing everything whilst literally doing nothing. That's a classic one on Orisa, where you're just standing still and you feel like you're doing a lot, but you're actually doing nothing. As a person who also doesn't enjoy tank, there is one tank that stands amongst the rest as just the actual fun, definitive tank, and that would be Winston.
Greetings! Would you like to donate your body to science? Hello.
I quickly need to just do the 5v5 66 thing. Like I don't like talking about 5v5 66. It's so pointless, but let's just quickly cover it because we are talking about tank and it's pretty important. I didn't play much tank in 66. I think tank ended up being my highest role in Overwatch 1, but still, I didn't play much tank in 66, right? 66 evidently benefits tank. There is no negative to 66 for tank players. There just isn't. That's just true. And it's dumb to disagree that tank is better off. Like, it's dumb. I personally don't have much of a preference, and none of this is weighted towards 66 in the slightest. But I will say I probably wouldn't have to make a video saying the one good tank if 66 was the main game. That's it. Let's actually move on to Winston and Winston's playstyle. Winston is all about well-timed engagements and taking space efficiently and well. Winston's gameplay loop pretty much revolves around his bubble. That cooldown is the essence of like how Winston's going to be played, is if he has bubble or if he doesn't have bubble, how close he is to bubble. The formula for Winston is essentially you stage and set up on an angle, preserve your HP, and don't take any damage, drop on backline and drop the bubble to sustain yourself, and then jump out. And you keep doing this. And what makes Winston's really good at this? Well, they stage perfectly, they trade HP very well, their bubble timing's really, really good, their target selection is great, their timing and everything is just great. It's a very, very fundamental, simple stuff, executed extremely, extremely well. Okay, nothing but off the crown, this wasn't played perfectly, but this is an exact example of how even when he's reading chat, not thinking about it, he subconsciously is staging instead of a dive. So we can see here he's in the stage position on top of this random building. Everyone is below him. He has both his cooldowns. Let's see what he does. He knows there's someone under him. He drops, fights, bubbles, attacks, jumps out. He always dies here. Luckily, his supports keep him up. But, you know, not perfectly executed, but that's exactly the thing he will continue to do. That is basically Winston. That is exactly how Winston plays. That is the entire basic setup principles of playing Winston. Another key part is you want to be able to engage when your team is able to support you. So this means your team's actually able to follow up on any damage you do, or able to support you through healing and resources and util to allow you to get that kill. You don't really want to be jumping when your entire team is dead into 5 people. Or you don't want to be taking a completely isolated door against multiple people. Another key thing is you want to clear out your space before committing to a dive. So for instance, if you've jumped to an angle where you wanted to stage and set up, and there happens to be a person here, you have to clear that guy out. It's sort of almost the rules of like a flow chart. It's like you say yourself, oh, there's someone here, okay, we have to clear this guy out. And that's why Winston becomes harder the higher you go up, because the more often people will be ready on your angle that you're staging from. So then you have to clear them out and you have to be better at doing that. What's fun about him is that he revolves around reading a fight, understanding the flow of the battle, understanding who is where he needs to be, when he needs to go, and how to do it. It is not just a tanky, sustain on an angle style tank. He doesn't just sit on an angle and just live and shoot and do damage. There is way more brain power needed and way more actual understanding of how Overwatch is being played to execute on Winston. He is rewarded for playing well, and this is sounds like the dumbest thing ever, because like most characters are, right? Everyone is rewarded for playing well, of course he is. But Winston is a tank that can be effective no matter what, so long as you're playing well. You could be a really disgusting Roadhog player, but it will suck to play into Orisa, Zen, Ana. It's just going to be miserable, and it's going to be really difficult for you to get any value. Winston can even play into these full counter comps and just play super well. He is rewarded for being good at the character. You are rewarded for being good at the character. The counters do exist. People will run the Malgas, the Bastions, the Reapers, the Zen, the Brig. But at least from what I've seen and what I've played, there are ways to counteract this. You've got, you know, fake engages you can do, which can bait out Bastion form. Reaper's really easy just to kite from. Brig Whipshot is a little bit of a menace, but again, is super playable. And Malga doesn't have nearly as much verticality as you, so you can use your advantage to punish these characters. You're extremely mobile. You're able to actually evade a lot of your counters. This is also something I think is really cool about Winston, because a lot of tanks have this happen to them. It doesn't really feel like you can be slapped around and bullied. You know when you're playing like Rhine or Hog or something, and you're just getting hit by everything, and you're just getting bashed, thrown about. You know, it literally feels like you're in a washing machine. Like, it is the worst feeling ever. That doesn't really happen to Winston. If you do, it's because you really messed up and you're going to die anyway. Whereas some of the tanks can literally feel like everyone is just shooting everything at you and you're just having zero fun. Why does Winston work so well as a tank? And why do I basically think he is the definitive tank? This is essentially where I was getting to, right? He's not focused on damage as a taunt tool. Let me explain this. Tank is a thing that's been in the game for ages, in games for ages. Like, it comes back from, you know, MMOs, World of Warcraft. You got your tank, right? And your tank is supposed to basically grab aggro of the boss so that they tank all the damage so that your DPS can kill the thing. And obviously, Overwatch is meant to be sort of that, like, mix thing. It's a hero shooter that had a lot of those MMO aspects. That's why it was tank damage and support. And so what can you do when you're playing against real players? You can't taunt them, right? You can't just click a button that makes them have aggro. You can't just attack them first and pull aggro. Like, that's not a thing you can do in a PvP game. I can choose who I want to shoot. I can just not shoot the tank. So how do you counteract this? How do you make someone pay attention to you and be taunted by you? You do a ton of damage. That's what a lot of tanks do. They do a lot of damage, and they have a lot of health. You kind of have to check them. If Jungle Queen runs into you, you kind of have to do something about it. You can't not, otherwise she'll kill you. That's sort of how a lot of the tanks work, right? Because that's the best thing you can do. You make them big, scary, imposing, and threatening. Winston, however, doesn't do that much damage. He's much more disruption focused. If you leave a Winston alone, he can disrupt and mess up your entire backlining game, right? You have to care the monkey. Not because he's going to kill you, but because he will isolate, spill up your team, cause a bunch of chaos and disruption. And I think this is what works so perfectly. When Winston jumps in, people have to look at him because he's in their face and dealing a moderate amount of damage, but he has caused a great amount of disruption. This is similar to Ball, but except Ball is kind of Giga buff to the point that he does do a lot of damage. But the whole point is that he can roll in, boot people around, slam, lift them up, which allows his team to kill people, and it makes him a bit of a menace that you want to focus and pay attention to, right? That's how he's able to grab pressure. Also, he has to try close the gap, so he has to use his resources well. You know, some tanks might actually be able to hold up on a lot of their cooldowns and not be proactive with them. This isn't a good way to play, but I'm just saying that they can get away with this. Winston does not just sit and just tickle people and then jump when he needs to jump and bubble when he needs to bubble. He's going out of his way to use stuff and get in your face and cause a lot of carnage. His sustain comes from bubble and jump, not self-heal, not ridiculous amounts of armor, not even hyper mobility, right? He simply has a massive bubble that you could break or run away from. That's his sustain. And then he has a jump, right? And he's pretty big. He's quite easy to hit in his jump, so he has to jump well. That's it. Simple yet effective. I haven't even mentioned Primal or Video because Primal's a great ult. Primal's a great ult. It's disruption and can lead to kills if you know how to juggle well. And it just sustains you and keeps you up in fights really well. One of the best designed ults in the entire game. One of the most fun ults as well to do well on. In conclusion, Winston to me is the definitive tank in 5v5 Overwatch essentially. This originally was going to be about Overwatch 2, but they kind of dropped the 2, so I guess it's just Overwatch. But Winston is, in my opinion, the best designed tank, and the one that works the best with how the game is right now. It is very difficult to find someone that actively doesn't enjoy Winston and finds Winston to be unhealthy for the game. He is simple, effective, got a high skill ceiling, hard to master, pretty hard to learn, and does the role of a tank so perfectly.